Hello. Good morning, good evening, wherever, good afternoon, wherever you might be listening from at the time you're listening. I hope you're all doing well. Today is an interesting day for me. As at the time of this recording, and I don't know. I think I was just thinking about a lot of things, and my mind just went there. And so, where did my mind go to? My name is Adeoluwa, by the way. Hi again. And I was just thinking about how there isn't much of any difference, or like I'm trying to look at the difference, if any, between us humans and even Christians, especially, who seem to be so attached with attachments, ranging from hair extensions to wigs to makeup to fixing of nails and tight clothing and stuff. And I'm wondering, like, where is the difference between that and after the fall, when, they listen to the devil or the enemy, as the case may be, and ate what they were not supposed to eat, and then they saw that they were naked, right? I think the way I see it is this: one can choose to operate under the curse that, that threw Adam and Eve out of the garden, or we can choose to operate under grace, under the new dispensation of the Son of God. The choice is yours, really. And I think it's like looking at the difference, in the beginning. Someone was asking a question on Twitter the other day, and he was like, is it, considering the fact that polygamy was in the Bible, like, is this a sin? And I was like, well, Jesus has clarified that in the beginning it was not so. So what were those things that were not so in the beginning that, we had now become human culture? What was God's original, right? If Adam and Eve were not wearing clothes in the garden, is it makeup they'll be wearing? Is it earrings they'll be wearing? Is it jewelry they'll be wearing? Is it hair extensions they will wear, or hair colors, or tattoos, or whatever? They won't wear all of those things. They were not even wearing clothes, right? So of course some people would be trying to be mischievous and say, can you walk around naked and stuff like that? Well, no, you can't walk around naked, because obviously, even without walking around naked, people are already getting sexual ideas to start with. So to protect yourself and indeed everyone around you, put on clothes. Clothes are meant as protection, not necessarily as a fashion statement. It protects you from the weather. We're not at that place where the weather did not affect us, or rather, the weather did not affect Adam and Eve. The rain, there was the covering of God's glory, and they didn't even know that they were naked. But beyond that, people still feel naked, right? Despite the fact that they are wearing clothes. Although then again, some people even wear clothes that don't even cover properly, and they will tell you it's an Adam and Eve thing. Like, the confusion is just not very funny, although it can be a bit amusing sometimes. And for me, it just clicked in my mind, like, what is the difference? The need to search for something to cover yourself, like Adam and Eve did. So you have hair, by the way, then you look for wig or something, or color to cover your hair. You already have a figure, then you're looking for something to pump pump in the other place to bring it out like some balloon, and so on and so forth. Body surgeries, makeup surgeries, cosmetic surgeries, and so on and so forth. Like, I think it's just the curse of when the glory, when you don't know that you have the glory of God, or it has left. And so you are now looking for something to cover. You're looking for something to cover. And you notice that even those who have these surgeries, it's never enough, because it will go out of fashion. There is no way, once you start, it's going to be hard to stop, because it's a slippery slope after that. If it's not one thing, it's another. Maybe it's a new fashion, There was a time when being slim and thin was fashionable, right? Being slim and thin was fashionable. In fact, there was a name for it, where I come from, was called lepa, like practically thin. It was a fashionable thing. It was an in thing at the time. But now, not so much. Now it's slim thick. That's the thing right now. And instead of you to work it out, but no, people would rather go under the knife. And I just want to say this, that there is a reason for it, for that need. There's a reason for that need to want to cover up and cover up and cover up. But I want to tell you that it's not necessary. Everything God made was good. You just have to trust that you look beautiful the way you are. Of course, someone will look at you and say you look plain. I've had people tell me, it's funny. I was just having a conversation with someone, and someone said, I could do your brows for you. And I was like, Like, the expression on my face must have been comical, because, the two women started laughing. And I laughed with them. It was funny, because I was like, you people, don't start with me today, I beg. And I've been natural for so long, I don't even notice, right? I don't notice, because I'm prayerfully working on my skin, prayerfully working on my hair, Yes, the glory of Eden, that our first parents were, is not as it was. We've been chased out of it, but we can reclaim it through prayers and belief and faith. You understand? Of course, there was preservation in the Garden of Eden. So the Garden of Eden was probably like a freezer or a natural preservation camp, if you may, where maybe it was like a natural preservation camp, where what you put in there will stay fresh forever. Nothing, it won't spoil. It will just stay the way you put it in there. So when Adam and Eve were chased out, they began to tour. In quotes, they began to tour. They began to, they were not protected from the elements anymore, and they began to depreciate or age, which was the word, little by little, until the first set would spend a few 100 years, 700 years, and all of that. And I think the reason why they spent that long is, when you take something out of the fridge, the freezer, or its habitat for the first time, it stays, and then maybe you take it out of its habitat, and then you now put it in the fridge straight away, the freshness, it retains its freshness and everything, So I wouldn't call it a fridge per se, but that's like the best illustration I can come up with. Eden was like our preservation camp, and then as long as we were in it, we didn't need any covering, right? Most of the time when you put things in the fridge, you don't have to cover it in anything. Well, some you have to, but not necessarily. Like you can see everything in a glance that you put in the fridge. You don't have to start opening things to like, okay, what did I put in this bucket? What did I put in that? What did I put? Sometimes it's not even necessary. You might even put it now they have zip locks that are transparent where you just put it in it. So it's just to make sure that it doesn't melt with others, but it's transparent enough for you to see what is inside it. That was pretty much how Eden was. That was pretty much what Eden was. And once we were tossed out, our ancestors were tossed out of it, it became another another issue where we began to thaw, and is it disintegrate now or something? I don't know. Where man dies, right? The preservation process is over. It's now it's now depreciating little by little. So they lasted very long the first time, but the life expectancy rate started to drop until, in fact, it's a miracle today to see anyone last for 100 years. Like, a miracle. Life expectancy right now is where it is. Like, it's a miracle to even make it to 100. So what I'm saying in essence is this: trust your maker. Trust your maker. Trust your maker. Trust God. I'm seeing different facets to this natural look, and in a video on my YouTube channel, I talked about how I journeyed into conservative look and natural look, how like all natural and conservative, no jewelry. I don't wear trousers either, maybe unless it's absolutely necessary, maybe because if I have to ride a horse, and I don't have that issue right now. I don't even know how to ride one. I haven't seen one live in a while, so I guess I'm safe from that one for now. But whatever the case may be, just understand that if you're somebody wearing all of those things, the jewelry, the makeup and all of that, it's because you don't trust your maker. And it's because you feel naked. If you check yourself well, you feel naked, you feel like you're incomplete and you need to, add something to it. It's just like the psychological effects, so to speak, of not being in Eden anymore. But because Jesus has come and he has died for us, he's now he's brought redemption, and Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law. Then at this time you have to walk by faith, even if everything looks like the opposite of what you want it to look, or it feels like the opposite you want it to look. You have to walk by faith. And faith sometimes can be compartmentalized. It shouldn't be, but I'm beginning to see that it is. Faith, courage. Like some people have the courage to face down demons, but they don't have the courage to go out of the house without makeup. Let me say that again. Some people have the courage to face down demons, but they don't have the courage to walk out of the house without makeup. Right? So you now find a situation where, you have faith for the things of the spirit, but when it comes to yourself, You think you need to wear these things. There's always a reason to wear them. And you haven't thought of reasons why you shouldn't have to wear them. You haven't thought about, and that's something to think about, like, why do I have to wear all these things? Why can't I be as God made me? Why do I have a problem with how God made me? Right? And please, this is not the time to be mischievous and start talking about, well, you wear clothes. Why don't you go about it? No, please. This is a serious conversation that we are trying to have here, So I've explained the one with clothing. It's a form of protection. Makeup is not protecting anything. Hair extensions, nails, jewelry, they're not protecting anything. In fact, you have to be the one to protect those things. You have to be the one to protect those things. So they ain't protecting you. Those ones are just unnecessary extras, And it's interesting to note that all of those things were brought by, what is it called now? By fallen angels. They were the ones who introduced this concept to mankind. Isn't it strange? Like the devil did his own crap and had Adam and Eve tossed out of Eden. Then the fallen angels, the ones who fell with him, came and then just added their own poison to the whole brew to make it crazier. And when you look at Genesis 6, there's something there that is very interesting, right? And strange children that are not, people that are not completely human. They look human, okay, but they're not completely human. They look like the people of the first world before Genesis 1. And no, they have the spirit or the inner makeup of the people before. That fell, plus, human. So they're strange in their own way. They're different, But that being said, God has his own standard for covering, right? When Adam and Eve took leaves, and it just goes to show that our own judgment on this thing, on the issue of covering, might be a little flawed. Now, when they took leaves and God saw them, they took leaves to cover themselves, just like some of us use makeup, jewelry, and the likes to cover ourselves. God, after the judgment, after doling out punishments to everybody to go and be serving for a lifetime, God covered them, not with leaves, but with animal skin. There's a lot of stories and theology behind the animal skin, but whatever the case may be, they were covered with animal skin, right? However, it goes to show that there's a difference between what God considers a covering, either spiritual covering or a physical covering that we can see. So, before you come for me, ask your maker, what does he want? God, what should I use as covering? What is the covering that you want for me? Choose my clothing for me. Choose my wardrobe for me. Right? God is the original designer now. Can you even match the design of this world? No. Let's even start with your own design that you think you still have to cover. Can you match that? You can't. So what we're now doing is plagiarism, or I don't even think this is even plagiarism anymore. What do you call somebody that redesigns your design? As an artist or a creator and inventor, you make something, you put it out there, someone gets it, and then they now add a lot of things to it, and then I can't imagine how it looks to God. I think some of us probably look like caricatures. You know how caricatures look like? There is the original and there is the addition. And it's funny, isn't it? That's how some of us look like. God gave you a certain shape of lips, but you injected it with something, or you painted it with so much colors, and it's now looking ballooned. Then you put these wings, feathery wings on in your as eyelashes. Like, if you put your picture and this together, yours, the one you put on, might look pretty to you, but it's a caricature to God. So are you an original or a caricature? And why? Why would you choose to be a caricature? Okay, so I went for a temporary break and I'm back. Well, not that temporary, but so as I was saying, what are you? Are you a natural or a caricature? Are you an original or a caricature? Right? You might think it looks pretty and all that, but there is an original design. And if you are adding stuff to it, it makes it a caricature. However it is, even if it's a pretty caricature, even if it's a beautiful caricature, it's still a caricature. And spiritually speaking, you have to also be very careful about these things, because most of them, if not all of them, are not from this dimension. They are made from another world to kind of monitor, control, and trap the human race, right? And so it's interesting to note that they always target these things at women, although men are beginning to catch the strange vibe as well, you know, where you see men wearing earrings. Before it was earring on one ear, now it's both ears with weird, strange haircuts, and you know, there's male makeup, and you know, some guys are wearing female clothing, and it's just crazy. And I think that it brings it to fore when we talk about women not wearing things that pertain to men, and they protest. Like, how weird is it, do you think, that some men are wearing female clothing? Like, you know, as weird as it looks like, it's just as weird as some of us look like. Whether you look pretty in it or handsome in it is not the point. You can be a handsome caricature, you can be what is it called now? An attractive, gorgeous caricature, but you are not an original anymore. However gorgeous you may look, you might even think you look better, but it doesn't change the fact that caricature will still become your surname when you change your original look. No matter how pretty or gorgeous you are, you understand? Usually when something is distorted, even fake stuff, right, they always tend to look prettier, and that is why people fall for it easily, because the original is made to look plain, but the fake is made to look, you know, pretty, flashy and stuff. But it would not deliver what an original would deliver. So let me try to round this up this time. Your original look is what worked and what works in the Garden of Eden. After the fall and the curse, after the fall, our first parents went looking for leaves to cover themselves. Then after the curse, God now gave them another skin, a covering, a new covering. So what is that covering that God is giving you? That is what you should stick with. And you have to ask God about that for your own confirmation. You don't have to necessarily take my word for it, but it is an act of cowardice if I say all of this and everybody else has said more or less the same thing. Well, maybe not everybody else, but some people have said more or less the same thing, and you don't do your own findings. You can see these things in books. It's not as if it's not hidden. People who have been in the occultic world will tell you these things for free in books. It's everywhere. Like if you just Google books on their experience. Maybe there's a book called The Power of Darkness or something, and then you read these stories. It's horror. I'm telling you, nobody should put that in film, please. It's horrible, like horrible. And so when I was hearing that, some people sell aborted fetuses to some companies, I wasn't surprised, because it was awful hearing that, but I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because I'd read something similar to that, where they used I can't even say it. It's just horrible. Where they use dead babies to make cosmetics, right? And don't think you can see, oh, they should be reported to the police. Are you serious? Yeah, right. Assuming you can nab them to start with, they're able to operate in this dimension and theirs without necessarily getting caught. The only way they can get caught is when a power that is greater than theirs, which is the power of Jehovah, through the name of Jesus Christ, the blood of Jesus, and all the weapons of that God has given us in the Bible to counter them. But watch and pray. That is what the Bible says. So a lot of us, we're very good at praying. We're very good at binding and losing and all that, but we're not watching. And that's why you see people who are, firebrand prayer warriors, and they're wearing all this contraband. And that is even putting it mildly. All these strange attires and attachments from questionable sources. Well, not questionable, from demonic sources. And you're like, you didn't see this or what? Because we're focusing on prayers. Grace is when you are redeemed from the curse of the law. The curse that makes you, want to cover yourself with something that is false, because the glory, you feel naked. You feel naked, just like our first parents did. The need to want to cover yourself with something, anything, not even something, anything you just see that looks pretty. You snatch it up and you put it on yourself because you think you're naked. You believe you're naked. It took me a while. When I wasn't wearing jewelry and trousers, I felt more or less naked, despite the fact I was wearing clothes. But I began to pray for the glory of God, because at the end of the day, that is what we lost. It's not the jewelry that you're missing. It's not the makeup. No, they're never going to cover you. They cannot replace the glory of God in Eden. They cannot replace the glory of God before the fall. So it's best you go to the beginning as it was and know what went wrong, and then ask for yours, for your own covering. Everybody can feel covered if they understand that the real covering that we need is the glory of God. It's not the makeup, it's not the hair extensions, it's not the wigs, nor the plastic surgeries. They won't cover you. You will never see. People are not satisfied. It's a multi-billion, if not multi-trillion multi-trillion, whatever currency you are at, business. Straight from hell, if you ask me. Straight from hell. Like a concept straight from hell, really. And we're just taking it, and now a lot of people are caricatures of their own original, and that puts you in a position where you'll be missing a lot of things. There are some things that you would have if you look yourself, right? God is not going to adjust your identity because you changed it. Let me say that again. God is not going to adjust your original identity wherever it is registered in the spirit realm because you have changed it. So if you're using makeup, for example, God is not going to go and make you up. So when God is going to show you to someone, he will show you his original design. It's like this issue is like when you send your child to the city, right? Or you send someone to the city and you guys have a photograph of that person. And maybe that person now needs something, or you want to send something to the person. And you want to send something to that person you sent on an errand, maybe your child, your mentee, or whatever. It is the photo of that person that you have with you that you will give the person, that go to this person and give them this, or direct them to this person. Do you understand? So if the person you sent on an errand had gone to paint themselves, color their hair, done Botox here and there, done plastic surgeries here and there, and done tattoos, that too, done tattoos, and they're taking this picture of you without all of those things. Look, you can argue all you want. You are not getting that thing that they brought for you, because that is not the picture that the messenger had. It's the same thing with us as well. There are some blessings that might bypass, and those ones are like the major ones, because you're not looking your original. You're looking the caricature. You're pretty, maybe you're gorgeous, perhaps, but look, even if it's you, if someone gives you a photograph of somebody, do you understand what I'm saying? And you go seeking that person, even if the person looks familiar, you'll be like, well, don't we all look alike sometimes? All you can say is, I didn't find the person. In fact, you probably said, but I found one that seems like an impostor, didn't look like this person but bears the same name. So you now begin to look like an impostor of your real self. These are things we need to sit down, and I pray that God reveals these things to us. Everything God created is good. God is a perfect God. And so everything he creates has the stamp of perfection on it. Just like an artist that puts their signature at the edge of their painting or their work, that you know that, okay, this is the original of this person. So you have God's mark of perfection on you. So if you're going to go about saying no one is perfect, that is not the original designer's fault. Is the design has fallen into the wrong hands, or walked into the wrong hands, or something. And so maybe there is a distortion somewhere, a misuse and abuse of the original, and now it has become imperfect. So you need to go back to your designer, to your original designer, to your original maker, to find your perfect makeup. Your perfect makeup, your perfect hair is in your original. It might not look as pretty to you, but that is your own perfection. Find your own perfection, and the only way you can find this is in God. How were you born? What were the things you were born with? Were you born with earrings? Were you born with jewelry? Were you born with tattoos? I don't think so. So if your life isn't making sense right now, I think you should start from there. Maybe there are some things that needed to have located you. Maybe God sent people to you, and the picture they are seeing is not what God has given them. God gave them the picture of how he made you. But you had gone and make a pretty, gorgeous, albeit caricature of yourself. And now you are seen as the impostor. Before you get yourself spiritually arrested for stealing someone's identity when it's actually yours, go back to your original. Go back to that perfect makeup that you had, and pray for the glory of God. once you go back to that, you can't ask the glory of God to come upon something that he did not. Like you do a caricature of God's work. They are not asking for the glory of God. That's an insult, don't you think? It's an insult. So, my message to you today, or this message today, is for all of us. Go back to your perfect makeup. Go back to your perfect makeup. That's what I'll say about that for now. And believe your creator, believe your maker that is perfect, that you have a stamp of perfection on you. Alright? Well, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Guard your heart against fear. Guard your heart against doubt. Guard your heart against anything that takes your mind away from what you originally are in God. What was in the beginning. The Bible makes it clear. Check it again. And wherever it is you have deviated, go back to that perfect original that you are. They that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. And someone will say, those that do not know their God, they shall be weak and exploited. The choice is yours at the end of the day. And remember, God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Whatever it is that is pure, whatever it is that is sure, whatever that it is that is of good report, if it is of virtue, think on these things. Shalom.